welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan, and today I am going to be doing a very chill, very relaxed book tag. This is the Plan With Me book tag, which was originally created by Shelby at What's My Page Again, which, side note, is such an amazing channel name. I love that. And I was tagged to do this by Jess over at Reading with Jess. I will of course link both of those ladies and their channels below, and I will go ahead and get into the questions. So the first prompt is Payday, which is a book that you would buy right now regardless of the price. And I'm assuming that is in referral to a book that either hasn't come out yet or that isn't available to me, because otherwise I would just buy it. But so for me, this is just going to be the next Colleen Hoover book, which I believe is a book called Heartbones, and I think it is set to be released in July. And Colleen Hoover for me has become a new favorite author. Every single book that I've read so far I have loved, and I think she's going to become an auto-buy author where any book that she releases I will buy it pretty much the second it comes out. Prompt number 2 is Pay a Bill, which is a book that you would get rid of right now. And when I'm looking at my shelves, one book that sticks out to me is All the Right Places by Jennifer Niven, which is a book that, it's a YA contemporary, and it just didn't click with me. I think I rated it 2, maybe 3 stars. It's not the type of book that I enjoy, and honestly, it doesn't fit with my shelves all that well. It has multiple colors on the spine, and I have a nice rainbow shelf, and so I think I will be getting rid of that one somewhat soon just because it doesn't fit. Book number 3 is Doctor's Appointment, which is a book that makes you feel better when you're feeling low. I'm not a big book rereader, and so one that comes to mind for me is The Girl He Used to Know by Tracy Garvis Graves. I am also not a big romance reader, but this is a romance that totally tugged at my heartstrings. It got to me. I absolutely loved it, and if I was going to reread a romance to make me feel, happy and hopeful, I think that would be it, so I highly recommend that book. Next prompt is Meeting, which is a book or series you felt obligated to read because of the hype. And honestly, a lot of my books I read because of the hype, but one that comes to mind, a series specifically, is Scythe, which is a book that I had never heard of before watching BookTube, and it totally sounded up my alley. So Scythe is a dystopian, an adult dystopian series about a futuristic world where humans have conquered death, and the only way to die is if a scythe gleans you. And scythes go through like a rigorous training process to learn how to kill people and how to select people to be gleaned, and it follows these 2 teenagers who have been selected to become scythe apprentices. And that totally sounded up my alley, so I read the first book, and I'm happy to say I absolutely loved it. So I have read the entire series now. Highly recommend it if you are someone who enjoys dystopian books. The next prompt is Lunch Date, which is a book or series that you loved because a friend recommended it to you. And one book that I have read that my husband actually recommended to me is called The Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes, and I have not seen this book talked about much, if at all, on BookTube. It is a contemporary novel. It's been a little while since I read it, but it follows this group of boys who becomes friends in school, and then it kind of follows them throughout their lives as they kind of lose touch. But that book really definitely got to me. It's hard-hitting, and there is at least one twist at the end that I can remember that totally surprised me and really turned around my feelings of the book. So if you have not read it, I suggest it. It's pretty short, and if you can handle some darker, more hard-hitting topics, then I think it's a good one. The next prompt is Work/School Week, and it's a book that was hard to get through. And for me, that is The Silent Wife by A.S.A. Harrison. I totally bought this book on a whim. I think I bought it at like a thrift store or something. It's a thriller, a domestic thriller that follows a married couple who is not in a good place in their marriage. I can't remember exactly what happens because I did not like it very much. Actually, I pretty much hated it. I think I gave it 1 star, and it's a super short book, but for some reason it was still so hard to get through, and I listened to it on audiobook, and I totally did not care about the ending. I just wanted to get through it so that I could say I read it and then move on to something else. So that one was very hard to get through and did not enjoy at all. The next prompt is Gym Day, which is a book that gets your heart pumping because it is such a page turner, and I think I have the same answer here as Jess did, but it is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I listened to this book on audiobook, and it was awesome. This is a thriller suspense book following a college-age girl, I think, who is driving home one day to visit her sick mother, and a blizzard happens, and so she is forced to pull over to a rest area, and when she gets to the rest area, there's only a few people there, and she sees that there is a little girl trapped inside the back of one of those people's cars, and she doesn't know who it is, and so she has to figure out kind of who she can trust, who is keeping this girl hostage and can she save her without putting herself in danger and all the rest of the people at the rest stop. It's very suspenseful, and the second half kind of has twist after twist after twist, and it totally gets your heart pumping, and if you have not read it yet, I highly recommend. Next prompt is Date Night, which is a book with your favorite couple, and I honestly, like I've said, do not read too many romances or books where I have a strong connection to the love interest or to the couple, but one book that I absolutely adore that is a romance is All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. This follows a married couple who is having some troubles a few years into their marriage, and the book follows them in two timelines. So you get when they met and kind of their initial beginning stages of their relationship, as well as I think it's 7 years into their marriage when they're starting to have some issues with infertility and just questions about whether they should stay married and stay fighting towards these things that they want. And I absolutely loved that book. As a married person, I totally related to some of the struggles they go through, and I was really rooting for them the whole time, and the conclusion of that book just totally tugged at my heartstrings, and I absolutely loved that entire book. Highly recommend if you are a romance lover, even if you're not a romance lover, where like me you need a little bit more, something a little bit deeper to get into for a romance. That definitely has it, so I recommend that book. Next prompt is Vacation, which is a book or series you would binge if you had all the time in the world. I'm not much of a series reader, as I've said, because I don't like how much time it takes to get through a series, but one that sounds very interesting to me is the Shatter Me series, which I believe the last book just came out, but it's something like book 8 or something in the series, and all I know it's kind of a dystopian, sci-fi, maybe a little bit fantasy series about a girl with powers that she doesn't know how to handle, and there are some raving reviews of that entire series here on BookTube, and I do think that if I ever get around to reading that whole series, I would really like it. I have actually ordered the first book in the series, so I possibly will be trying that soon, and if I like the first book, then I'll probably go ahead and invest the time to read the rest of the series. And the last prompt is To-Do List, which is a book that you have been meaning to get to but keep putting off. And for me, that is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. I mentioned it in my 5-star predictions video, but this is a book that I think I will love when I get around to reading it. But it's a thick book, it's very chunky, it looks long, and I think it might be pretty complex and hard to maybe keep up with, so I'm nervous about starting it, and that's why I just haven't done it yet. But by the end of this year, I do hope to finally get around to reading that book. And that is it for my Plan With Me book tag. I think this tag has been around for like over a year now, so I have no idea who's already done it, so I'm not going to tag anybody specifically, but if you are interested in completing this tag, you like tag videos, and you haven't been tagged already, consider yourself tagged. I would love to watch your videos. So that is all I have. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.